We had someone recently ask if they'd seen our SharePoint demonstrations on our YouTube video here, and there's a fair few of different, what you can do with SharePoint, from searching it, from integrating it, from the exposure settings that you can do between SharePoint and Content Manager. And they asked that whether they could actually perform actions on a full site, and the answer is yes. Well, some of our videos actually went through individual folders or documents just to show the, I suppose, the simplicity of it. But technically, you can do the whole thing on a site collection itself, or a site. So here's an example of a site we've got sitting there. It's an IT site. It's got lots of folders, and if we go in and have a bit of a look, it's got some subfolders with some documents as well. Now, when the actual integration is installed on the site or the site collection, effectively you get this whole raft of Content Manager options. So this is all the behind-the-scenes settings, your default rules, and these can flow down from the top level into different site collections, into sites, or they can be individually managed depending on, again, what you're managing and how you're managing it. We've got some content mapping, some lifetime management, search, and then there's this little section here around site management. So in this example, we've already managed the site, and what that looks like in Content Manager is effectively, we can see here's all the site, we've got a site record, so all the mapping has already been pre-done at the top level. We can see some folders, and this is managing every object in that site. So we've got documents, we could have announcements, we could have lists, libraries, you name it. And effectively we can see here that we've got some metadata records on those sites. If we go back into Content Manager and into the admin page here, we can actually archive this site. So we're going to go ahead and kick this off and have a look at what it looks like. I get a pop-up. It's going to work through, and it's actually pushed through a bit of a queue. So what will happen, again, as per our other videos that we've gone through, nothing happens instantaneously. There is a queue that happens behind the scenes, and this will actually start to show through what's actually in the queue. So we can see here there's an archive job. The site, it's from this site, which is our IT site, and there's some jobs in progress. Now, what's going to happen, it's going to go and grab all these documents and archive them into Content Manager. So similar to other videos, we've gone through the 4 different quadrants. This is actually going to remove the documents from SharePoint and leave them in Content Manager. And what's going to happen over time as this queue goes through, we see it refresh. We start to refresh our Content Manager, we'll start to actually see some documents start to appear. An example of this is you could be doing something like a project that's finished at the end. So you might be managing a project and letting it live in SharePoint as part of its life cycle. And at the end of the actual project, we're actually going to manage the content into Content Manager. So this could just be, project X is now completed. We're now going to move it all into Content Manager for safekeeping and to obviously kick off some archiving and some lifecycle management. And that's a perfectly fine example and something you can do with the integration itself. So what we can see here is actually Content Manager is now starting to go through that queue, going a look through that process. If we have a look at the job in queue at the moment, we can see that this will grow and decrease as jobs start to happen, as documents start to be archived. So it was 3, now it's 6. And again, that will keep flowing up and down as the job increases and decreases as it moves stuff into Content Manager. So we can see it's got 9 in the queue, and if we go back into Content Manager, we can actually see some of these documents are now starting to come in. So we've got some of the files sitting in here from the technical manuals. So this folder is starting to be populated with actual documents. And if we refresh or reload the screen, we'll start to see more and more documents. There's some JITC documents and other ones coming through from the library. You can see they're now getting populated with actual documents. So if we have a look here, we can see some documents are now starting to come in from this site. We refresh the page or we'll run the search again. Effectively, we're going to now see that, again, we've still got the site record and all the hierarchical parts of it, and now starting to see some documents come into play. So we have a folder called Tech Notes. We go through and have a bit of a look. We've got email links. The documents themselves have now started to come in. If we go back and have a look in SharePoint, we refresh that IT page, we'll actually see that all that content's now been moved in or archived into Content Manager. So we've effectively archived all that content from that site, and literally, again, it's all moved into Content Manager. So this site can now be deleted. All the content has all gone into Content Manager, and there's nothing in the site bar the bare bones of it.